Nadhim Zahawi.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. It is a great honour for me to open this debate on the Loyal Address. In Her Majesty's Jubilee year, I want to thank her for her dedication and service to our country, the Commonwealth and all its people. This includes young immigrants arriving on these shores who feel her warmth and generosity, and of course some of them who end up as her ministers. I also want to thank Prince Charles and Prince William, the Duke of Cambridge, for opening Parliament on her behalf. During Her Majesty's 70-year reign, this country has been the best place in the world to grow up and grow old. Yet, during these 7 decades, Madam Deputy Speaker, the British people have overcome major challenges time and time again. Madam Deputy Speaker, we have now just lived through what I'm sure you will agree has been an incredibly difficult period. After years of sacrifice by people up and down the country, this Queen's speech focuses our attention exactly where it should be: the future. The future, full of promise, will again not be without its challenges, both at home and, of course, overseas. Our country needed a Queen's speech that rises to the scale of the challenge we face, and we have delivered it. Our communities needed a Queen's speech that keeps them safe, secure and prosperous, and we will deliver it. And of course, our constituents needed a Queen's speech that shows them the door of opportunity is always open to them, and we will deliver it. Our relentless focus, Madam Deputy, is delivery, delivery, delivery. Before I outline how our legislative programme is making sure that this country remains the best place to grow up and grow old, I would just like to reaffirm this government's solidarity with the people of Ukraine. I'm pleased to say that all Ukrainian children and young people arriving in the United Kingdom have the right to access state education whilst in the UK. With memories of my own childhood, Madam Deputy Speaker, leaving Saddam Hussein's Iraq and building a new life here, I know how important education is to helping young people integrate into their new communities. But not only do we... I'll give way to the Honourable Gentleman.
Thank the Secretary of State for that, and he's absolutely right to say that there's no better place in the world to live other than this great United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, always better together. But just to say this to the Minister, the Secretary of State, can he confirm, when it comes to education, through the government policies and the Queen's speech, that every step will be taken to ensure that every child in this United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland will achieve their academic success, that every person who is on the waiting list for health will have a better health system, and every elderly person who's dependent on a better income for energy, food and heat, that those things would also be part of the Queen's speech? Thank you.
I'm grateful to the member for Strangford, and I think he speaks for the whole of Northern Ireland when he says the focus has to be on education and healthcare and those public services that the people of Northern Ireland so badly need to be delivered upon. But not only do we need to make sure, Madam Deputy Speaker, that Ukrainian refugees are well integrated, we need to give them the same skills that we are giving our children so that they can take on the challenges of the future. And I just want to take this opportunity to commend schools and local authorities across England for rising to that challenge of welcoming and supporting children arriving from Ukraine, offering thousands of them a school place. In these same schools, Madam Deputy Speaker, that are at the heart of our plans to level up. One of the first bills introduced this session in the other place is the Schools Bill, delivering a stronger school system that works for every child, no matter where they were born or live in our country. It will work alongside close to £5 billion of investment for our ambitious multi-year education recovery plan, investing in what we know works: teacher training, tutoring and extra educational opportunities, including, of course, extra hours for those who've got least time left in education, the 16 to 19-year-old students. Madam Deputy Speaker, the evidence is clear. that our plan is working and the recovery is happening. Primary pupils recovering around 0.1 months in reading and 0.9 months in maths since the summer. Combined with our £7 billion cash increase in the total core schools budget by 2024-25, not 10 years ago, but compared to 21-22, we are giving schools the resources they need to focus on student outcomes. It is money that will help schools increase teachers' pay, including delivering on our manifesto pledge of £30,000 starting salary. Money that will help schools deliver resources for students and money that will help schools meet inflationary pressures in these uncertain times. But there is more to do, Madam Deputy Speaker, because as it stands today, too many children leave primary school unable to meet the expected standards in reading, writing and mathematics, despite the remarkable progress in the last decade. Through our bill, by 2030, 90% of primary school children will achieve the expected standard in reading, writing and maths, and the percentage of children meeting the expected standard in the worst performing areas which need the most help will have increased by over a third. To meet our ambitious targets, the schools bill will go further, taking steps to make children safe, addressing standards in attendance, all underpinned by a fairer and stronger school system. And because our best multi-academy trusts that family of schools delivering improvement in schools and in areas where poor performance had become entrenched, by 2030 we want all schools either in a strong multi-academy trust or with plans to join or form one. Madam Deputy Speaker, our ambitions are... I will be brief.
I thank the Secretary of State for his allowing me to intervene. He's making a very powerful point. Is he aware that in my area, the strong Odyssey Trust, which runs the successful Townley Girls Grammar School, is already ahead of the game on this one and has taken over the failing Erith School and made it King Henry School and are determined to make it a great success?
I'm grateful for my honourable friend. I certainly am aware of the Odyssey Trust, and indeed it is exactly that passion for transforming young people's lives that we need them on this journey, and I know they and many other grammar schools, I think 90 of the 165 grammar schools have already joined. Those families of schools will do the same. Madam Deputy Speaker, our ambitions are for all children, including those with special educational needs and disabilities who may need additional support to reach their potential. The SEND and Alternative Provision Green Paper published in March sets out our ambitions for children and young people with SEND. Our proposals will build a more inclusive and financially sustainable system that delivers the right support in the right place at the right time for every child and young person. And we want to establish a new single national SEND and alternative provision system and are investing now to secure the future sustainability for that system. We have also set out clear roles and responsibilities and, of course, accountability measures for everybody working in the SEND and alternative provision sector. This includes the new national and local inclusion dashboards to give a timely and, I think, transparent picture of how the system is performing across education, health and care, which is what parents have asked us to do. Madam Deputy Speaker, children and young people are the future of our country, but they cannot succeed if they are not safe and secure at home. That is why, under my stewardship, the Department for Education has been laser-focused on families. With strong families, we can make a fairer society, one in which children can escape the quicksand of disadvantage. With strong families, we help make sure that every child can grow up happy and, of course, with that vital opportunity. And we are taking steps to strengthen families. We're funding 75 local authorities, half of England's local authorities, with the highest levels of child deprivation, to create family hubs and transform that support for families. Our investment includes a focus on babies, children and families in the early years with funding for breastfeeding, parenting and parent-infant mental health services. Where families need more help, we've expanded the Supporting Families programme so that up to 300,000 families with more complex needs can work with a key worker to help resolve problems. I'll give way to Honourable Lake.
I'm grateful to my right honourable friend for giving way. Safety is at the heart of so many parents when they send their child into settings, and I welcome the family hub. Last week, a child died in a nursery in my constituency. I send my heartfelt condolences to the family. It was a heartbreaking time. 10 years ago, another constituent lost her child in a nursery. She's Dan and John Thompson. They set up in Millie's name the child Millie's Trust and now have Millie's Mark, which accredits people in nurseries, staff in nurseries, who have got paediatric first aid training. Would my right honourable friend agree with me that safety in nurseries and childcare settings is vitally important, that paediatric first aid is vitally important for members of staff to know how to deal with these emergencies? And would you join me in calling for it to be advised?
There are a lot of speakers trying to get into this debate, really a lot. So interventions do need to be really very brief. Thank you. Secretary of State.
I'm grateful for my honourable friend. I absolutely agree with her on Millie's Mark. And of course, child safety in nurseries is vital and non-negotiable. And I'm very grateful for her for bringing the accreditation to the House's attention. And of course, as I was saying, Madam Deputy Speaker, where families do need that additional help, we've expanded Supporting Families programme so that those 300,000 families with more complex needs can work with a key worker to help resolve problems. And of course, to improve the lives and outcomes, I'll just make a little bit more headway. I will take her intervention with pleasure. To improve the lives and outcomes of children with a social worker, we need to make some fundamental changes to the current system. I look forward to seeing the recommendations from the independent review of children's social care, which will be published in the coming weeks, the McAllister Review. It is a once-in-a-generation opportunity, Madam Deputy Speaker, to improve outcomes for children and families. This government is also acutely aware of how important childcare is to both children and their mums and dads. In each of the past 3 years, we have spent in excess of £3.5 billion a year on our early education entitlements, and we will continue to support families with their childcare costs. And at the spending review last October, we announced additional funding for the early years entitlements worth £160 million in 22-23, £180 million in 23-24, £170 million in 24-25, compared to 21-22 financial year. Providing quality childcare is vital for children to develop from the earliest opportunity. But there is another point to all of this, Madam Deputy Speaker. We know that women are most likely to shoulder high childcare costs. The aim of the government's universal credit childcare offer is to support parents for whom paid childcare is a barrier to work, to overcome that barrier. This works alongside the tax-free childcare, helping parents return to work and making sure it pays to work. For every £8 parents pay into their childcare account, we add £2, up to a maximum of £2,000 in top-up per year for each child up to the age of 11, and up to £4,000 per disabled child until they are 17. Overall, Madam Deputy Speaker, the government has spent over £4 billion each year for the past 5 years on childcare in the United Kingdom through childcare offers led by my department, the Department of Education, and of course tax-free childcare and the employer support childcare. Addressing this issue means women can, if they wish, go back to their careers. It is fair to them and it is good for business and the economy. Madam Deputy Speaker, for our long-term economic success will really turn on our ability to nurture and utilise talent, including new mothers. Human potential human capital is the most important resource on earth. To steal a phrase from my right honourable friend, the chair of the Education Select Committee, we are determined to build a skills-rich economy. We are committed to delivering those skills through massive investment and reforms to skills and further education provision. We've already embarked on revolutionising the post-16 education sector, transforming apprenticeships, driving up quality, better meeting the skills needs of employers through more flexible training models. We've launched T-levels, boosting access to high-quality technical education for thousands of young people and, of course, creating our skilled workforce of the future. And, Madam Deputy Speaker, I will pledge to the House to make T-levels as famous as A-levels. Watch this space. In the last parliamentary session, we successfully passed the Skills and Post-16 Education Act to do just this. This Act, alongside our wider reforms, including an additional £3.8 billion investment in skills over this Parliament, rightly in my view, places employers at the heart of the skills system, supporting our ambition for everyone to be able to access the training they need to move into highly skilled jobs. There is, of course, a crucial role for our universities in making sure that our country remains the best place to grow up and, given the link to future earnings and opportunities, to grow old too. We will bring forward further legislation through a higher education reform bill to ensure that our post-18 education system promotes real social mobility, is financially sustainable and will support people to get the skills they need to meet their career aspirations and help grow the economy. Alongside this, I'll give way to one.
Thank the Secretary of State for what he's saying, but will, in the bill he's bringing forward, will he address the injustice that Muslim students face, because at the moment they cannot access student loans and Islamic suitable loans were promised by David Cameron in 2014 and they are still waiting. Will he address this?
I'm grateful to the Honourable Lady, and I made that pledge to the Education Select Committee when I went before them a few weeks ago. We are looking at how we deliver against that. And as I was saying, Madam Deputy Speaker, we will bring forward further legislation through the Higher Education Reform Bill to ensure that our post-18 education system does promote real social mobility, including the point the Honourable Lady quite rightly raises, and is financially sustainable. Now, alongside this, we are meeting our manifesto commitment to challenge any restriction of lawful speech and academic freedom. The Higher Education Freedom of Speech Bill will strengthen existing freedoms of speech duties and will directly address gaps within the existing law, including the lack of a clear enforcement mechanism. Madam Speaker, for both universities and technical education, one of the most important policies we're implementing as part of the Skills and Post-16 Education Act is the paradigm-shifting lifelong loan entitlement. A new and flexible skills system, it will provide people with an entitlement equivalent to 4 years of post-18 education to use over their lifetime in modules or as a whole, worth £37,000 in today's money. We are writing a new chapter. No, Madam Speaker, I think we're writing a new book in skills education. This will give people the ability to train, retrain and upskill in response to changing skills needs and employment patterns. In a dynamic economy, colleagues, where sectors can be crushed and reborn in double time, this has to be our priority. The world is different now to when I entered the world of work and business, Madam Deputy Speaker. It is different now than when I became an MP 12 years ago. We must not just keep up with a changing world, we must lead the change. This Queen's speech lays out how we will do this. As I said at the start of my statement, I'm focused on delivering against the ambitious targets we have set ourselves across skills, schools and families, and holding ourselves to account against those. I believe sharing our plans and performance data is a key lever to drive rapid improvement through the complex systems we oversee. I'll give way to the Honourable Gentleman.
Very grateful to the Minister for giving way. He talks about skills, so important. Would he recognise the real crisis we face when it comes to skills in the health service, in particular the number of people we lack in prevention and treatment of cancer? Would he look at, and would the Secretary of State for Health, his friend sat next to him, look at the amendment in my name on the order paper, which calls for a strategy to tackle the cancer backlog, in particular the fact that over a third of my constituents with cancer are waiting more than 2 months for their first treatment?
I'm grateful for the Right Honourable Member's intervention, and I think a couple of things to say on that. One, obviously, I know that the Secretary for Health will address this, but his priority, his laser-like focus, is on the backlog and dealing with that backlog, but also the investment in Cumbria and the University of Cumbria in terms of those clinical training and needs that is happening for his constituents as well. As I said, Madam Speaker, at the start of my statement, I am focused on that delivery, and I'm passionate in believing that the performance data is key as a lever to drive rapid improvement through a complex system in education or in health, and that transparency, as we did with vaccine, we will do again in education and health. And I've committed to publishing a delivery plan setting out what we will achieve and a performance dashboard showing progress so the House and the country can hold us to account. I've already written to all schools stating that we will publish data on uptake of the National Tutoring Programme this summer. Many schools have helpfully given us access to their attendance data, and I'm conducting a trial over the coming weeks to share that data back in a way I think that prompts helpful actions in schools and, of course, in local authorities. Madam Speaker, the spirit with which our education sector responded to the pandemic demonstrated why this is the best country to grow up in. It is a spirit... I will give way to Honourable Lady.
I'm grateful to the Secretary of State for giving way. And when he's talking about the best place for young people to grow up in, could he explain to me why there isn't a single placement of special provision for children at risk across the country, as my constituent is experiencing right now?
I'm grateful for the Honourable Lady. She raises a very important point, partly why the McAllister Review is so important into children's social care, and I'll be saying more on that in the coming weeks. Madam Speaker, as I was just praising the incredible spirit of our education front line, those brilliant teachers, school leaders, and of course support staff, never forget the support staff, demonstrates why this is the best country to grow up in. It is a spirit we see across our public and private sector, including, of course, the National Health Service, working with our great vaccine companies, which has led the way in protecting lives and livelihoods in the battle against COVID. Thanks to the astonishing rollout of the vaccine and booster programmes, we were the first European nation to protect half of our population with at least one dose, and the first major European nation to boost, thanks to my right honourable friend, half of our population too. Following the unprecedented challenges placed on the NHS by COVID, we will spend more than £8 billion from 22-23 to 24-25, supported by the revenue from the Health and Social Care Levy to clear the COVID elective backlogs. But we must be honest. We must be honest, Madam Speaker. Our NHS faces long-term challenges too, including an ageing population and people increasingly living with multiple long-term conditions. At this critical moment, we must now seize the opportunity to put our healthcare system on a more sustainable path for the future, whilst meeting the immediate urgent recovery challenges we face. The Health and Care Bill has created the structures for this sustainable future. At the same time, as my right honourable friend, the Health Secretary, will outline later, we will publish draft legislation to reform the Mental Health Act so patients suffering from mental health conditions have greater control over their treatment and receive the dignity and respect that they deserve. I know the NHS is an institution that makes people proud to be British. I share this. I would say this entire government shares this sentiment, and that is why we are safeguarding its sustainable future. Madam Deputy Speaker, in closing, this was a Queen's speech filled with substantial policies, not least those that give young people the education they need to succeed in life. Policies that will provide more rungs on the ladder of opportunity, and opportunity for older people who want a chance to learn and retrain. Policies that put skills at the heart of our economy to unleash its potential. Policies that back our public services so they can deliver what our country needs. Policies that sustain the truth that this is the best place in the world to grow up and grow old in. Thank you, Madam President.
Order. Before I call the Shadow Secretary of State, it will be obvious that there are a large number of speakers wishing to participate in this debate. And I won't put a time limit on to start with, but I will be expecting that speakers will be maximum 5 minutes. Shadow Secretary of State Bridget Phillipson.